By Springer, and a free kick to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Captain York deciding to go back to goalkeeper Bristol. Najima Bergen finds Adine Charles. Giving it up once again. Possession seems to be a problem here for this Vincy Heat team. They're not hanging on to the ball as long as they ought to. Here's Emery now with some space. Gets into the 18-yard box, gets around one, takes a shot, and it's wide. I believe it came off the defender. And Emery certainly creating some problems for the Vincentian defense there on the left side. And St. Kitts with their second corner kick of the game. Into the 20th minute. It looks as if it's Stevens over there, Deonis Stevens, to take this left-footed corner kick. Stevens floats it in, top of the 6-yard, and Bristol grabs it, plucks it out of the air. No problems whatsoever. And rolls it into the path of his captain York, who finds Stephen Pear. Pear to Charles. Here is DL Spring picking it up. Vincentian's looking a bit scrappy in defense, but Spring has hung on to that one, floated forward, was looking there for Courtney Franklin, but I believe Fleming got there first and just being sure, knocking it away, not giving any chance. You don't want to give any chances to Courtney Franklin. He's a zippy player, and he has a power of a left foot that can make you pay on any day. Franklin comes back there to, well, the ball is floated in. Blake is there, but in the end, well, nodded out by Anwar Springer. And the St. Vincent and the Grenadines with what I believe is their very first corner kick of this game, of this encounter. And it looks as if it's going to be, is it Bergen, it looks like? Yes. Coming across to take this corner kick. And he's very good with the dead ball situation, Bergen. Let's see what he can do here for Vincy Heat. As a jostle for position in the 6-yard area. Assistant referee just ensuring it all is well. Najima Bergen with a corner kick now. Heads go up. And it's floated over the head there of Stephen Pear. Jamari Lynch picks it up for the Vincentians. And attempted cross block, but he gets the return ball. Given away. And this could be an opportunity here for the Kittichans. But attempt to get what looks like Charles going there, cut out. And Stephen Pear now with possession for Vincy Heat. Looks for, finds Stewart, but his first touch, not the best. Knocking it away. Goal kick resulting in the end. So we're 30 minutes gone. And after that early burst, it's been St. Kitts who've had the better of the exchanges in terms of possession and construction. Here's Emery. Has the defender with him. Emery gets the cross in. This could be problems, but in the end, everybody appeared to be flat-footed there, defense and strikers. But ball's back with St. Kitts and Nevis. Simmons. And that one out of touch in the end. So St. Kitts and Nevis certainly creating the opportunities here this afternoon, but haven't yet been able to find the back of the net. And, well, whistle going, it's an infringement. And free kick will result to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So they've had the opportunities, St. Kitts and Nevis. And you don't want to not make them count, because this Vincentian team, as was demonstrated last Tuesday, they can and will make you pay. Here's Jamal York. Finds Blake. Charles back to Blake, and well, he wasn't looking for that, Blake. But York, in the end, cleaning things up for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. There's Emery, who's created lots of problems for the Vincentians on this left side. Ball in the end is out of touch, and it's going to be a throw-in to be taken by Jamari Lynch. Looking there for Stewart. Malcolm Stewart has a couple of red shirts around him, and it's knocked away into the path of Jamal York. Forced back to goalkeeper Bristol. And Charles, tall player he is, finds Dale Spring. Spring just looking to slow it down. Going back there to Charles, who goes right back to Bristol. And we've seen this patient game being played by the Vincentians. But when they do get into that final attacking third, that's where the problem is. As, well, not so good football there from Springer. Here's Pear. Twisting and turning Pear, looking to get one in. And in the end is knocked away. Back out to Jamal York. With possession for Vincey Heat there to Blake. And good turn there from Stephen Pear. Still has possession, Pear. Gets Malcolm back to Pear. And Pear still with it. Shot is taken, but the rebound is off. Back to Pear and over the crossbar. What an opportunity there for Vincey Heat. As we now have a look at it once again. Stephen Pear with the shot. It ricocheted. Got the second bite of the cherry, so to speak, and cracked it over the crossbar. Unfortunately, but in the end, good football by St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Goalkeeper Trotman now to take this goal kick. Ball upfield. And that's the point of this Vincentian outfit. You give them the opportunity and they can certainly take the attack to you, as occurred moments ago. But Pear unfortunately couldn't keep that one down. Went over the crossbar. But here's Lewis. The long range effort. High and over. And into some vehicle sparked at the back of the facility here. Goal kick results. York looking to marshal his forces. Finds Saviola Blake, but robbed of it, Blake. And the player with some space there, but unfortunately didn't get the touch that he certainly was looking for. And St. Vincent now coming in with it here with Dale Spring. Courtney Franklin with some space now on the left side. Franklin gets into the 18-yard box, takes a shot, and well, went across the goal mouth. I believe he was looking there for Malcolm Stewart. It appeared first to be a shot, but it actually was a cross and just out of the path there of Stewart. And in the end, it's out of touch for a goal kick. Play continues. So, St. Vincent, within the last 5 minutes, showing their worth. And now we see Spring bringing down what looks like Lewis. Yeah, Mervyn Lewis. And the free kick is taken there by Captain Mitchum to Fleming. Fleming, a searching ball there on the left side, but Jamari Lynch is going to get there. Bristol gets there first, as a matter of fact. And just goes to his left now to Charles. Again, you see that patience being exercised by the Vincentians in their own half. But again, Jamal York giving it away. Good work by Jamari Lynch to regain possession and immediately gives it up once again. Here's Mitchum. And, well, aimless, hopeless. No problem there for Samuel Bristol. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines with possession now. Najima Bergen to Courtney Franklin. Franklin plays a nice ball from left to right there to Pear. But first touch wasn't the best. He had to kind of lunge to get it. And here's St. Kitts now looking to make some inroads. Nodded into the arms there of goalkeeper Bristol. Good work there by Jamal York. That's the kind of defensive work he's become accustomed to. A little bit of a danger, but he did what was necessary. Cut out there by St. Kitts and Nevis. Nice ball into the path there of Emery. Has Lynch with him. And he's certainly created quite a number of problems as he floats this one in. And the danger still not yet. It's nodded away there by York. And in the end, out of touch for a goal kick. We're still taking his time with this goal kick. He finds his captain. And again, you see that patience from the Vincentian outfit. And certainly that's the work of Coach Hendrickson. Blake to Spring as the Blue Shirts with possession. Dean Charles picks it up in the middle of the field. Back to Dale Spring, who was a little lazy in his movement there. Can't fault anyone but himself. Losing possession. Mitchum. And I like this guy, Mitchum. He really controls his team from the middle of the park, so to speak, literally. And has possession once again, Mitchum. St. Kitts now simply knocking it around. Fleming. Here's Springer. And back to Fleming. That's Tyrrell over there with possession. And St. Kitts, oh, yes, being quite patient. Saying, well, you want it, you have to come for it. And Lewis fouled in the process there by Dean Charles. Marvin Lewis takes it very quickly to Simmons, and in the process finding Fleming. Bringing goalkeeper Trotman into things. Simmons. Looking now for Emery. And York got there first, got the head in, and Emery allowing it to go out of touch to take that throw in. Here's Springer. Going right back to goalkeeper Simmons at the top of the 18-yard box. And the Fleming. So it's a bit of a cat and mouse situation that is certainly taking place here at the Chile playing field. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, of course, had some pace and attack just about 5 minutes ago, and Kittichens is simply slowing things down as Tyrrell lost possession there. And here's Stephen Pear. Lovely ball there to Saviola Blake, who's closely marked, but still hanging on to it. Back to Jamari Lynch, and overlapping Lynch. Has Springer with him. Lynch runs out to real estate, and as a matter of fact, off the boot of Springer, and a corner kick to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, Kittichens, it has soaked up the pressure, and now we have to defend this one. As it looks as if it's going to be Najima Bergen taking his time to come across Bergen. So into the 42nd minute, still 0-0, as Bergen now being urged by referee Moet Games to let's get things going, youngster. This one is floated across into the path of Stephen Pear. And shot comes in from York, but right into the arms there of Trotman. And he looks quite comfortable behind it. Kai Trotman. I believe last time around in goal was Samuel for St. Kitts and Nevis. But here is what looks like Stevens. Knocks it into Tyrrell, takes a one-time shot. And, well, looked a bit uncomfortable there for Samuel Bristol. Bounced just before it went into his gloves. He bobbled it a bit, but did enough to hang on to it. And now rolls it into the path of Charles. Goes back there to his captain. Jamal York asking for Charles to come forward. And the DL Spring gets onto it. But in the end, under pressure and forced to give it up. Here's Tyrrell. And here comes Amory for the Kittians. Cross comes in, but it's at the back of the advancing player. But Stevens picks it up, and, well, shot was easily saved there by Bristol. But Vincentian defense really and truly left a bit wanting there. Blake now finds DL Spring with some real estate ahead of him. Finds Stephen Pear. Pear back to Spring. And Spring now crosses, but could only find a red shirt there to Mervyn Lewis. Robbed of it there by Courtney Franklin. Back to Charles. And Dean Charles. To Saviola Blake. Pear. As St. Vincent looks to create some problems here for the Kittians. Franklin gets the ball there from Stewart to Najima Bergen. Bergen back to Franklin. And in the end, well, that possibly could have been avoided. Both defenders getting in each other's way. And corner kick resulting there for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We're into the 44th minute as we await this corner kick. Very small player, diminutive player in Saviola Blake, but he can really and truly make you pay as this one is in. And, well, not so good work there by Trotman, dropping it in the process. And in the end, the defender had to come in to clean it up there for St. Kitts and Nevis. And another corner kick will result. So looking quite casual there was Kai Trotman. And actually it's not a corner kick, it's close to the corner flag. Throw-in to be taken. And whistle going, handled ball there by Stewart. And free kick to the Kittians on the left side in the 18-yard box. As we see, it's going to be a fourth official coming to show us exactly that is 1 minute extra time added, 1 minute of extra time added. As here St. Kitts down with possession. Stevens picks up this one. Has Najima Bergen ahead of him. Still has possession. And Lewis with a wild, aimless thump. And that's gone miles out onto the roof of one of the houses. And quickly taken a goal kick as Najima Bergen now with possession. Just under 30 seconds remaining in this, the opening half. Still 0-0. And it's going to be a throw-in to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Taking the time about it, running down the clock. I believe the Vincentians, Najima Bergen. Going back there to Charles. Finds a Dean Charles, one of two Charles on this Vincentian team. Jamari Lynch, and there goes the whistle to indicate it's the first 45 here this afternoon at the Chile Playing Field International Friendly. St. Vincent and the Grenadines hosting St. Kitts and Nevis, and after the first 45 it's 0-0. Both teams certainly had their opportunities, none yet to find the back of the net, and we take a break, come back in about 15 minutes time to certainly bring to you the second half here at the Chile Playing Field. Welcome back to the Chile playing field for the second half of this international friendly. St. Vincent and the Grenadines taking on St. Kitts and Nevis. Both teams are back in the middle, and I can say to you that for Vincent Heat, there have been two substitutions. DL Spring is out, replaced by Kenija Joseph, and Saviola Blake replaced by Milton Joseph. So two Josephs are in, Kenija Joseph, Milton Joseph, and out Saviola Blake, and also DL Spring. So we just awaiting the kickoff. Malcolm Stewart up front there for Vincent Heat. Finds Kenija Joseph, who gets his first touch of this game. And to York. Going back there to Charles. Nigel Charles. For St. Vincent and the Grenadines as they try to build on the right side to probably find this early goal here. Stephen Pear deflects into the path of Stewart. Stewart was looking to get Jamari Lynch going there, but is struck behind him and out of touch for a throw into the Kittians to be taken by, looks like Simmons over there, Anwar Simmons. Dreadlock player wearing that number 3 shirt for the Kittians. There have been no substitution. They've started with the same 11. Robbed of it there. Stephen Pear into the path of Kenija Joseph. And Joseph, not the best of touches. Giving it up to Lewis. Now to Mitchum. That's Lewis, actually. And Mitchum, the captain, to Anwar Simmons. Back to Mitchum. So both teams certainly like to have that first crack at goal and maybe find the old onion back as early as possible in this the second half. Minute number 47, as that's Tyrrell picking it up there for St. Kitts Nevis, but has to wait for his players to come forward. Ball now on the right side, searching ball there to Stevens, knocking it over the head of the defender, and cross comes in the end it's cleared there by Charles. There's Stephen Pear. Pear doing good work there. So Dean Charles. Here's Milton Joseph with his first touch in this the second half. Has Courtney Franklin to his left. And Franklin cuts in. Knocks into the path of Foilers, looking there for Malcolm Stewart. But the defender got there first. And knocking it away, averting the danger for St. Kitts and Nevis. Throw into Vincent Heat. There's Nigel Charles. Takes a shot. And the easy one. Long range effort there from Charles. But absolutely no problem for Kyle Trotman. As Anwar Simmons now with possession going down the left side. Was looking there for Emery. But in the end, it's out of touch. And the throw into St. Kitts and Nevis. Taken there by Springer. I keep saying Charles, it's Springer. Whistle going. And referee deciding that Smart Games putting it back. As there's the smell of what we call Sunday lunch in the air here at the Chile playing field. As the spectators, they've certainly come out. And free kick taken, floated forward, nodded away there by Jamal York. Back to Mitchum. Looks and finds Emery, who's really and truly been a handful for the Vincentian defense. Mitchum. In the end, that is out of touch, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines will get a throw-in off the boot of Tyrrell. Jamal York gets the return ball. York to Bristol. Have to be careful here, York. And finds Nigel Charles. Bristol was a little concerned, but I believe York He knew exactly what he wanted to achieve. And here comes Milton Joseph into the middle now to Adine Charles. St. Vincent with some space. On the right side is Stephen Pear. Pear has Springer ahead of him. And, well, tried to do a little too much there. Stephen Pear lost possession. And Springer with it for the Sugar Boys. But they're robbed of it now as Milton Joseph picks it up in the middle of the park. But in his zeal to get forward, not holding on to it. And St. Kitts and Nevis with it now with what looks like Williams. Finds Stevens. Back to Williams. So Stevens, they're knocking it around. Tyrrell, nice ball in the part of Williams. Cross comes in now, and in the end, absolutely no trouble there for goalkeeper Bristol. St. Vincent and the Grenadines now try to make their move on the right side. Jamari Lynch to Charles. Kenija Joseph. And that first touch by Bergen wasn't the best, but he did enough to get the ball going in the part of Franklin. Finds Milton Joseph, and, well, wrong-footed the defender. But unfortunately for him, it then fell into the path he was looking for. And in the end, shot was muffed. Easy there for goalkeeper Trotman. But Joseph showing his worth there just moments ago. Yes, Springer. Coming back there now to Simmons. Fleming, tall, lanky player he is. And the Liebird finding Fleming once again, floating it upfield onto the head of Najima Bergen. Is going to go out of touch. And St. Kitts will have the opportunity certainly to continue with possible another attack on this Vincentian goal. Tyrrell. That's Stevens coming back then out to Liebird. And a good ball in the middle there for Lewis. And in the end, it's out of touch. Corner kick to the Getitians. That's who's going to come across to take this one for St. Kitts and Nevis. So still 0-0 in this, the 53rd minute. And looks like it's Williams to take this corner kick for St. Kitts and Nevis. And, well, not the best of corner kick and not the best of defending nonetheless from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But here comes Stephen Pear and hangs on to possession. Doing well. Joseph Khadija. Floats it forward now for Stephen Pear, who has some space. Gets into the 18-yard box. And still with it. Knocked away in the end. And Stephen maybe just looking to do too much, but still, here comes Jamari Lynch. And in the end, it's knocked away by the Kittian defense. Kenija Joseph picking this on up. To Milton Joseph. And Kenija just muscling his way with that one that is floated now into the 18-yard box. And, well, off the head of Fleming, and Trotman lost his footing. Luckily for him, it in the end wasn't a problem. Jamal York all over what looks like Lewis there. He's been in the wars, Lewis. And referee just having a word as this free kick is taken. Searching ball, they're looking for Stevens. But let's see who's going to pick this one up. And that one, well, there was Courtney Franklin going in with all that he's worth, and he's going to get a yellow card, Franklin, as Fleming on the turf. And here comes our referee. More games now issuing. It's actually Malcolm Stewart issuing a yellow card to Stewart. Both players similar built, Franklin and Stewart. And Fleming is back up. He limps away. As it's floated upfield there by Mitchum. And a bit of indecisiveness. St. Vincent and the Grenadines with possession. Bergen. Nigel Charles. Finds his goalkeeper Bristol. Goes further to his right to Jamal York, the captain. York into the middle now to Najima Joseph. Must the disapproval of the crowd here this evening, and there you see York with an aimless kick out of touch. And it's going to be a throw now to St. Kitts and Nevis. Here is a shot that's taken, and in the end goes wide. Let's have a look at it once again. Bristol was certainly out of position there, and that's another opportunity that's gone a begging for St. Kitts and Nevis. Nigel Charles. The big Bristol, that big 22 on his back, finds his captain York, Jamal York. Floats it upfield, a searching one there, but on to the head of Simmons. But Stewart gets the return ball, closely marked he is. And in the end, infringement, as a matter of fact, tugged by Simmons, who's going to get a yellow card. And now we see there's going to be a substitution for St. Kitts and Nevis. Simmons getting a yellow card in the 56 minutes. And coming out for missed that number, but the player who's in, who's wearing the number, looks like Newton, who's in. Coming out for St. Vincent and the Grenadines is Courtney Franklin. Also out is Ardeen Charles as the changes are being made. It's an international friendly, and quite a number of players being given the opportunity. Malcolm Stewart also pulled out for Vincey Heat. But they now have a free kick. As I believe Nasser McBurnett also in for the Vincentians. Free kick is taken, and it's in. Well, a moment I thought it was in. Off the boot of Milton Joseph. Went wide. Let's have a look at it as the free kick is taken. And Joseph got a boot onto it, but it's just wide. And the Trotman looking at it like a hawk. It's luckily on the side of the St. Kitts and Nevis team. So it's going to be a corner kick to... Is it a corner kick or a throw-in? Let's just wait. It is a throw-in to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. To be taken by Najima Bergen. Long throw looking for Chad Haynes there. Whistle going, infringement against the Vincentians. Fleming. Looks front, finds Liebert. But giving up there to Joseph. Finds a shot. And in the end, into the grasping arms there of Trotman. Can't pick it up, Trotman. Booting it away. And St. Vincent and the Grenadines now with another opportunity to get it in. Shot is in, and Trotman in the end is there. Well done. But losing possession. Charles finds York. So Garrett Ledgerwood, new player in for Vincent. He takes that through. Finds Chad Haynes, but he's robbed of it, Haynes. Nonetheless, St. Vincent, well, with possession, but just simply knocked away into no man's land. And goal kick certainly will occur for the St. Kitts and Nevis team. Into the 62nd minute, we're still 0-0. Trotman finds Fleming. Has Liebert to his right. Liebert has Joseph in close attendance, but knocks it upfield. And robbed of it there as Khadija Joseph picks it up for Vincent Heat, but loses possession immediately. And St. Kitts will now, with Amory, try to make an attack on the left side. Amory gets past the defender in a stumbling way, floats it in, but there's no red shirt there in the middle. And finds Garrett Ledgerwood to Bergen. The diminutive striker from Paul's Avenue finds Chad Haynes. Haynes with Liebert. Fleming now in the fray of things. Cuts into the middle. Takes a one-time shot. What a screamer! What a gem! What a goal! Beauty off the boot of Chad Haynes. As we look at it again, curling into that top left-hand corner. A scorching drive from Chad Haynes. St. Vincent's and the Grenadines 1. St. Kitts Nevis 0. Gem of a goal. So goal this in the 63rd minute. What a thumping drive from the boot of Chad Haynes. And of course, a ball that was struck with immense power, had the curl on it, and Trotman with no chance, and it just nestled in that top left-hand corner to give the Vincentians a 1-0 lead here this afternoon, much to the pleasure of this growing crowd here at the Chile playing field. So Haynes, of course, received a yellow card. The fact that he took his shirt off, but who wouldn't have celebrated for that? It was really a scorcher. As here's Liebert. Actually, Fleming. Simmons. As there's a dog on the field, unfortunately. Play continues nonetheless. Battle for possession on the far side, picked up by the Kittian. And Khadija Joseph doing some wonderful work to regain possession. Joseph going back to Jamal York. to Bristol. St. Vincent. There was Lightbird, Robin, Garrett Ledgerwood of that one. There's Nigel Charles. He's had a good game in defense for Vincy Heat. Milton Joseph brought to the turf there by Captain Mitchum. And a free kick for Vincy Heat as referee Moet Games will now probably try to get this, well, animal off the field, is he? Yes, he is. In the meantime, there's going to be a substitution, as double substitution for St. Kitts and Nevis. I see Stevens making his way out. So too is Tyrrell. So double substitution for St. Kitts and Nevis. Stevens and Tyrrell coming out. And in a while, we'll let you know the two new players who in. Fresh legs in for St. Kitts and Nevis. Player wearing a number 13 shirt. That's Brown. And number 9 in Isaac. So Jardel Isaac is in. And so too is Nejon Brown for the Sugar Boys. What a thumping drive. It's still very much fresh in my memory of the boot of Chad Haynes. And at any level, certainly, that would have found the back of the net. It did so here this afternoon to give St. Vincent a 1-0 lead. Here's Haynes once again. Has Lightbird with him. Lovely ball. It's a guard. Ledgerwood. This could be number 2. It is! Goal number 2 for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Milton Joseph. Ball coming off the petition. And St. Vincent now with a 2-goal advantage here as the player coming in there in his effort to knock it away. Knocked it into his own goal. And it'll be interesting to see whether or not this goal will be awarded to Joseph. But I believe it's very much an own goal for St. Kitts and Nevis. But we'll get the official position for you in just a little while. Goal coming in the 67th minute. Vincy Heat with a 2-0 lead. St. Kitts with possession. Deep inside their own half. That's Springer. But ball picked up there now by Chad Haynes. Player who had a scorching, thumping opener for Vincy Heat in the 63rd minute. And I believe we're going to have yet another substitution. Looks like Lightbird is being taken out for St. Kitts and Nevis. And coming in will be Algin Newton. Yes, Lightbird coming out, making way for Newton. There's Newton, just awaiting Lightbird as he now makes his win. So 2-0 in favor of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So now being confirmed, it is an own goal. So Springer with an own goal, as we heard it from the public address system, and player coming in there for St. Kitts and Nevis, just knocking it away. It's off the boot of Vincentian player, I believe. Looks like off the boot of Milton Joseph. Stroke now taken. Jamari Lynch. Kanija Joseph with a nice turn. Garrett Ledgerwood with some space. Has the defender with him, Ledgerwood. And in the end, he's robbed of it. But it's back with Vincy Heat. Ball on the right side. D'Souza to Lynch. Going back in defense there now to Nigel Charles. To his captain York. Giving goalkeeper Samuel Bristol a touch of things. It's been very quiet in this neck of the woods for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And Bristol now getting it out. There to Nigel Charles. Nice work there from Charles. Floating it upfield now. Ball now for Joseph to run onto, but the defenders there with him. Both players momentarily had no idea as to exactly the position of the ball, but it fell there for Garrett Ledgerwood. Ledgerwood gets around one. Can he get around a second? Neat ball in the middle there, but in the end, knocked away there by Fleming. And it's going to be a corner kick to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, leading this one by 2-0. There we see Ledgerwood getting the cross in, but Fleming just in the right position to save the day for St. Kitts and Nevis. Scoreline remains 2-0 in favor of SVG. So Milton Joseph will now take this corner kick for Vincey Heat. Joseph floats this one across, headed away there by, I believe, Springer, who appeared to have hurt himself. There's probably a clash of heads. And I really love to see the replay of that one, but it appears as if both players in the effort to go up would have had a clash of heads. And, well, just waiting to see exactly the player who's down. It looks as if it's Ledgerwood on the part of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. But the condition getting some attention. Meantime, some players seizing the opportunity to get a little bit of a liquid. And yes, you see that ice pack being placed on the back of the head of the condition, who's now seated on the turf. As it's actually Jamari Lynch for St. Vincent and the Grenadines are now being helped up. The St. Kitts player looks like it is Simmons. Yes, Simmons. Dijon Simmons. Getting a knock at the back of the head as we await this throw now. Long one taken. Booted away. But here's D'Souza. Ball on the right side now for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Cross comes in, and there's a tap in. What a nice goal there for Vincey Heat. They're up by 3-0. It is the second one for, it looks like, Chad Haynes. Second goal of the evening as we look at this wonderful cross coming in, and there was Chad Haynes just to tap it past goalkeeper Trotman. Number 3 on the night, on the evening, I should say, for the Vincey Heat. So, St. Kitts defense just simply caught out there. Nice cross coming in, and Chad Haynes with those long legs getting there ahead of the defender, and goalkeeper Trotman with absolutely no chance at all. Goal coming in the 74th minute. Here's Jamal York now with possession for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They're up by 3-0. And, well, it's going to be a St. Kitts ball. That was Tyrrell. Ball off the back of Tevin Thompson for Vincey Heat, and a throw will result for the Sugar Boys. 3-0. And Vincent certainly have upped the ante in this the second half. As here's a possible opportunity. Shot is taken and it's wide. And it sums up things here this afternoon for the Kittians. There was Tequani Williams. He turned, took the shot, but it was always going wide. And an opportunity going there for the Kittians to get on the scorecard. Here's Garrett Ledgerwood. Loses possession. John. Into the path of Brown. Gets the cross in Brown and knocked away there by Captain York. And here comes Milton Joseph. Looking there for Garrett Ledgerwood, but it rebounds off the back of the defender. Finds Chad Haynes, who's found the net twice here this afternoon. And knocked away for a throw into St. Vincent and the Grenadines of Vincent Heat. Just waiting for this throw to be taken. Najima Bergen, it is, to take it. Kenija Joseph. Bergen. Back to Joseph. Goes right back to Bristol. In goal. Finds us Captain York on the right. York going upfield. Jamari Lynch recovers well. Puts it into the path now of the Souza. But ball went out and immediately there's going to be another substitution for St. Kitts and Nevis. Goalkeeper substitution. Kai Trotman coming out and will be replaced by the reserve goalkeeper in Ozal Hodge. So Hodge is in. And there have been 3 wonderful goals this afternoon here for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, despite one being an own goal. But Springer had absolutely no control on what really transpired as Vincent Heat now with possession. Here's Milton Joseph. He's been all over the pitch since he's come into play. Not the best of passes. And just played it safe there. The Kittian defender knocking it away for a throw into Vincent Heat. Just under 13 minutes remaining in this one. And a 3-goal advantage for Vincent Heat. Throw is taken, but it's not the best of throws. And here's Jamal York looking to regain possession for Vincent Heat, but I believe that was already out of touch. Quickly taken through. Finds Brown. And Williams robbed of it. There is Jamari Lynch looking to keep it in, but that was not the case. And Tequani Williams to take the throw for the Sugar Boys. They've had the opportunities in Kitts and Nevis. And this juncture certainly would have been, or ought to be ruined. They missed opportunities, they missed chances. Goals win matches, and if you don't get it into the back of that old onion bag, you will be made to pay, and certainly that is the case at this point in time. St. Vincent with a 3-0 advantage. Here's the Souza, Trazine de Souza. Floats it in, looking there for Chad Haynes. And well, lost his footing. Chad Haynes tumbled to the ground, but still St. Vincent with possession. Garrett Ledgerwood giving it up. And Isaac now with possession. Searching ball there, looking for a red shirt, but it falls nicely now for Garrett Ledgerwood. Gareth looks and gets around the defender, does he? Cross comes in, and that's, well, I thought it was in the back of the net, but knocked away in the end. And that's not so good play there by Nigel Charles. And the referee, games perfectly placed, high boots, and a free kick awarded to St. Kitts and Nevis. So Niquan Brown, one of two Browns, came in as a substitute in the second half for St. Kitts and Nevis. Simmons finds, I believe, Nejon Brown, and that one is knocked away in favor of St. Vincent and the Grenadines with a throw-in. Long throw taken. Here comes Chad Haynes now. Has two defenders with him. Haynes gets across in, and Hodge collects. I believe that is his first touch of the game. Uzal Hodge coming in as a substitute, replacing Kai Trotman. Brown floats it upfield, but could only find Samuel Bristol, who's certainly taking his time. His team is up 3-0, and now finds his captain York. York looks front, finds Garrett Ledgerwood with some space. Ledgerwood. And was looking there for D'Souza in the end, helped by Fleming. St. Vincent through Lynch finds D'Souza. Tracine D'Souza plays his trade with Jabel FC, the local club. And here's Kenija Joseph. The Bergen. Chad Haynes. As there's a Catition player on the turf, I don't believe referee Games is aware of it. As play continue. Jamari Lynch in a battle for possession. And I believe, well, Charles back to Lynch. Player still remains on the turf. And now we get the whistle as referee Games is aware of it. And player will now get some attention as the physio comes in. Down in a heap there. And just pointing out to referee Games that might very well be a problem there with his right instep. So into minute number 82, and Vincent Heat with a 3-0 lead. First goal coming in the 55th minute off the boot of Malcolm Stewart. And then we had the second coming in the 63rd minute. Own goal, Anwar Springer, but really and truly didn't have much of a control over what transpired there. Springer. And in minute number 74, Chad Haynes with his second for the night. So referee Game just asking for that ball to be returned. And now Jamari Lynch with it for Vincent Heat. Player losing his foot in there, foul in the process. And a yellow card is going to be issued there to Jamari Lynch. As we await this free kick for St. Kitts and Nevis. Mitchum, the captain, appears as if he's going to take this one. Johannes Mitchum. Floats it forward, Mitchum at the top of the 18-yard box. Nodded away there by Khadija Joseph. Brown being brought to the turf in the process. And a free kick being awarded on the left side to St. Kitts and Nevis. So we're awaiting this free kick for St. Kitts and Nevis. And well, in the end, it was fairly easy there for Bristol. Almost lost it, but he held on to it and finds now Garrett Ledgerwood. Ledgerwood running at the defense, onto the left side into Chan Haynes. And offside he is. Flag immediately up. Went a little too early, Haynes. But he had a cracker of an opener in the 63rd minute. That goalkeeper Trotman knew absolutely nothing about. One certainly for the replays, and one that I know for a fact that we certainly remember. But here's, well, battle for possession in the midfield. Ball knocked forward, but can only find goalkeeper Hodge. Ledgerwood picking this one up, finds Milton Joseph. Lost the ball between his legs. And St. Kitts will continue possession through Naquan Brown. Finds Fleming. But Fleming, in the process, found the Souza, who couldn't control it. And St. Kitts will regain possession through a throw-in. Taken. There to Williams. And Charles just looking a bit tentative there. Luckily for him, fell into the path of Garrett Ledgerwood, who finds Joseph. Najima Joseph. Back to Charles. Chad Haynes. There to Garrett Ledgerwood. Ledgerwood. Can he get around the defense? Gets spin into the shot. Stay cannon. Oh! High and wide. Lost his composure, did all the hard work and splitting the defense in two, and took the shot high and wide over the crossbar. And in the end, well, went a begging there for Vincent Heat. St. Vincent now with yet another attempt on the right side, broken up. And here comes what looks like, well, Brown back to Williams, found to be offside Williams. And free kick to Vincent Heat, leading this one by 3-0 in the 88th minute. Goals in the 63rd, 74th, and 65th minutes. Charles. Nigel Charles. Haynes, who's had a cracking game, coming on as a second half substitute. Here's Garrett Ledgerwood now. Has the defender with him, but he's running at him. Takes a shot, and in the end, Hodge doing well, knocking it away. So here is Garrett Ledgerwood. Has the defender with him. Shot now taken, and Hodge plucking it away, knocking it away. In that top right-hand corner. And a corner kick being awarded to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So they've really taken the attack to this Kittian team in this second half as we await this corner kick to be taken by, it looks like, Milton Joseph. One across the goal mouth, and in the end, it's out of touch. The defender didn't get any touch onto it, so ball over to St. Kitts and Nevis. Joseph to the Souza. St. Vincent, yet again with lots of space. Ledgerwood has Newton ahead of him as the defender, but decides to go to the Souza. First touch wasn't the best, but in the end, Jamal York doing well there for Vincent Heat. But here comes Brown with possession. Brown still with it. And in the end, Ledgerwood will pick it up for Vincent Heat. Najima Bergen it is. Bergen, now to Joseph. Just being patient here. Vincent Heat, still with possession. Chad Haynes, missing out there to Simmons, who was bundled to the ground, but play continues. And Hodge can pick that one up, but he volleys it upfield. Onto the head of what looks like Bergen. Brown regains possession there for St. Kitts and Nevis. And Jamari Lynch, clash of boot there. Both players going to the ground, and referee Games blowing his whistle to ensure that all is well. As a matter of fact, he's going to issue a yellow card to the Kittitian player. Looks like Najon Brown, yes it is, getting a yellow card in this, the 90th minute. And I don't believe we will have gotten any indication as to the additional time, but we're into extra time. As Jamal York with possession. There's Nigel Charles. Going right back to Bristol. And he knocks it upfield. Milton Joseph finds Jamari Lynch. Lynch has a defender with him. Can he get around? No. And in the end, some woeful defensive work. Luckily, Mitchum was there to clean things up, but still, St. Kitts looking a little tardy in defense there. The Sousa now with possession. And that one is going to go away for a turn to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Jamari Lynch to take the throw. Finds Nigel Charles. Charles deciding to go right back there to goalkeeper Bristol, Samuel Bristol. As his captain Jamal York to his left, and York finds Bergen. Bergen. Now to Chad Haynes. Haynes. A little bit of a tug in the back, but ensuring that possession still remains with Vincent Heat. Nice turn there now. Here's Milton Joseph, finds the Sousa. And his first touch really and truly let him down there. Out of touch. Goal kick will result. Nonetheless, still a 3-0 advantage for Vincent Heat. And I'm not looking at the fourth official, but the whistle going to indicate it's the full 90 here this afternoon. Victory for St. Vincent and the Grenadines in this international friendly played here at the Chile playing field. And it ended 0-0 after the first 45 minutes, but St. Vincent and the Grenadines turning up the screws, turning up the heat in the second half. Goals, first of all, off the boot of Chad Haynes with a brilliant right footer in the 63rd minute that absolutely left no chance for goalkeeper Trotman. And then we had that own goal in the 65th minutes of Anwar Springer, who had absolutely no control in what happened. And then in the 74th minute, Chad Haynes with an easy tap in to give St. Vincent and the Grenadines a 3-0 victory here this afternoon. Both teams, of course, in the middle just exchanging their pleasantries. It's been certainly a good game for the home side. Learning experience nonetheless for all players involved here this afternoon. And given both teams certainly the opportunity to prepare for upcoming World Cup qualifiers. St. Vincent and the Grenadines on June 4th will be facing Anguilla right here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. On behalf of the entire VC3 team, my name is Anthony Denny. Of course, the brother Alonzo Beck Stevens. Got to say thanks to him, Callian Marshall, and the rest of the team. Certainly was a pleasure, and we'll catch you next time.